Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Friday, December the 17th. We got an 8-game Friday night slate, and this is going to be a pretty crazy one. The COVID news has been unreal lately in the NBA and in NFL too. But for this slate specifically, it's taken a big toll on this slate. There's a lot of guys out today because of COVID protocols. And there is a lot of value today. The pricing is really, really bad. There's so many underpriced players. We're going to talk a lot about some of these teams that are really thin because those are going to be the teams we kind of want to focus on this slate. But there, obviously will be other teams that we'll talk through. We're going to go through each game. We're going to break down each team. We're going to give kind of my thoughts on this slate. What does stand out to me at first look on Thursday night? And then as we do go through each game, we'll build out an early core. 5 guys I do specifically like for DraftKings and for Yahoo. But as always, I do want to say this. These are my first looks of the slate with NBA. You guys can't set anything in stone with NBA at this point. Guys are going to get randomly ruled out. It happens every single night. It happened on Thursday night. Malcolm Brogdon, he wasn't on the injury report, and then an hour before the game starts, he gets ruled out. Tyrese Maxey wasn't on the injury report, and then 30 minutes before the game starts, he gets ruled out. You can't just, in NBA, if you set your lineup and forget it, you're just going to lose so much. So you have to pay attention to injury news. I do provide a lot more updated content on Patreon. After we get injury updates, after we get starting lineups, you can check out all my updated content there. My full updated core plays that I will post an hour before lock, and I'll always keep updating them up until lock if need be. I also post my positional plays Monday through Friday where I list off my favorite plays at each position. I do my rankings where I list off my top 20 plays of the day, ranked in order of interest, with my top values, favorite studs, all being, at the top of the rankings. And then I do also give out some of my favorite picks each day on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video. If you guys do want to check out Prize Picks, go sign up and use code NOAH when you do sign up, and they will match your first deposit. Prize Picks will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at what Prize Picks has to offer. They're a player prop based DFS site, so you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections. Right now, they don't have anything posted yet for NBA, but they'll obviously get those posted, early Friday morning. And with how much COVID news has been hitting lately, with how crazy things have been, guys getting randomly ruled out, you can take a big advantage. You can make money off that with Prize Picks because they're going to post their projections early in the morning. As news comes out during the day, if you're really quick and you can hop on things, you can make some money on Prize Picks. Take the overs on the players who benefit when someone gets ruled out. Now, you have to be really quick with this because they're going to take them off the board, but if you pay attention to injury news, if you have notifications on when guys are getting ruled out, you can make some easy money on Prize Picks. So if you guys want to sign up over there, go sign up and use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. But let's take a look at Friday night's 8-game slate, and we are going to start off with the Miami and Orlando game. So this is probably one of the least appealing games on the slate just because you have two pretty slow-paced teams here. Miami, I think, is kind of appealing because they are still pretty short-handed. No Jimmy Butler, no Bam Adebayo. Oladipo still out. Caleb Martin still out. Markieff Morris still out. Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero are kind of the two guys we definitely want to be hitting on first. So Kyle Lowry last game with all those guys out plus Hero out as well was really, really disappointing. He played a ton of minutes. It was a close game against the Sixers. He played 39 minutes, but he wasn't productive at all, only had 27 DraftKings points. Lowry was a great play last slate, and things just didn't work out. I think on this slate, Lowry probably goes a bit overlooked, especially because he busted last game. So I think Lowry makes a lot of sense in tournaments. I still think, the opportunity is going to be there for him with Jimmy and Bam out. And then Hero's questionable. I would think that Hero probably plays here. But obviously, if he were to sit too, that would make Lowry look even better. If Hero does play, I think he's someone we can look to in GPPs. His prices come down a little bit to 6,900. He should benefit without Bam and without Jimmy. Should get more usage off the bench. Should still play a lot of minutes, even though he is coming off the bench. I think he's in play for me on this slate if he plays. And then the rest of these guys. So Dwayne Dedmon, 5K. I kind of like, his minutes this year, even when Bam's been out, they've kind of been up and down. Some nights he'll play bigger minutes, and some nights he'll only play low 20s. Last game, he actually got 32 minutes going up against Joel Embiid and was really productive, had 40 DraftKings points. He managed to stay out of foul trouble too. Foul trouble is an issue for Dwayne Dedmon. He does foul a lot. But I think in matchups where, he's going up against an opposing team that, has big men out there, I think they're going to have Dedmon out there a lot, and this is a Magic team that, for the most part, plays pretty big. They're going to have one of Wendell Carter or Mo Bamba on the floor at pretty much all times. Maybe you'll see Robin Lopez get some minutes, but I think Dwayne Dedmon at 5K makes some sense. He's more of a GPP play, but he's definitely viable. If he does get the minutes, we've seen that the upside is there. And then the rest of the Miami guys are probably only in play for me if Hero gets ruled out. Like, I think Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, like, I think I'd only be playing these guys if Hero sits. Duncan Robinson at 4,700, I think is fine. You know, we know what Duncan Robinson's going to do. He's going to go out there and shoot a lot, and you just got to hope that he makes his shots. Last game, he did shoot, or he shot the ball 16 times. Now, he had 8 rebounds, which is a little out of the ordinary for Duncan Robinson, but he got to the free throw line 5 times. He, had 21 points, finished with 39 DK points. That was definitely, a ceiling game from Duncan Robinson. Normally, he's not a guy that's going to put up 40 DK points, but I think he will get plenty of shots up, especially if Hero sits. I think he will play a lot of minutes as well. At 4,700, he is definitely, playable on this slate. And then PJ Tucker, he was really expensive last slate, 5,500. His price came down to 4,500. I still probably wouldn't be playing PJ Tucker, but I guess since his price went down, I think he's fine. But that's it for Miami. Now on the Orlando side, Orlando, it's hard to get really that interested in this team on this slate. Cole Anthony and Mo Bamba are both questionable, so this is kind of important. If these guys do get ruled out, then that will definitely change my thoughts on Orlando. I think we will get some value from this team. Obviously, Wendell Carter would benefit if Mo Bamba were to sit, and then RJ Hampton would probably be the biggest beneficiary if Cole Anthony were to sit. So those are guys we could look to, if they're out. The matchup, though, against Miami is still really bad. It's a slow-paced game. I still wouldn't be getting too excited about these guys, but definitely RJ Hampton at 3,200 would be a really good value play if Cole Anthony doesn't play, and then Wendell Carter would be a fine tournament option too at 6,900 if Mo Bamba sits. But if everyone's in for Orlando, I don't love too much here, just because normally this is a team I'm not that excited to roster, and on this slate, I don't think I'd be too excited to play mini Magic unless guys start getting ruled out. But we can move on to the next game, talk about the Warriors and the Celtics. So this is a national TV game. This should be a pretty fun game to watch, but for DFS purposes, it's really hard to get excited about this one just because both these teams are coming in pretty much fully healthy. Now, obviously, the Warriors are still missing Clay and James Wiseman, but everyone else is basically in for Golden State. When Golden State's fully healthy, I don't really play anyone else except Steph and Draymond. I think Steph on this slate is just more of a low-owned tournament play. He's like a dart throw. He's going to be super, super low-owned. He's not going to project that well at his salary. We know Steph has massive upside and can go off any night. In this type of matchup, though, against Boston, I don't think this is a great spot for Steph. He's fine, but I don't love him. Draymond at 6,500. I think this is a game that Draymond, really will get up for. We've seen Draymond play really well in these, big-time games, national TV games where they're going up against, big-time opponents. I think this is definitely a spot where we could get a ceiling game from Draymond. We know Draymond offers triple-double upside. He can go out there and, stuff the stat sheet, do a little bit of everything. It's 6,500. I think he's kind of appealing on this slate. I think Draymond is for sure my favorite play from Golden State if I had to play anyone here. But that's really it from the Warriors. Now, on the Celtics side, it's hard to get too excited about the Celtics. They're fully healthy, or at least they're coming into this game fully healthy. Jaylen Brown's back. He's expected to play. So with Jaylen Brown back, that's going to take away a little bit from Jason Tatum. I still think Jason Tatum is in play, especially at 9K. I mean, I don't know why DraftKings priced down a lot of these studs. Why is Tatum 9K when he's put up, 50 plus DK points in almost 6 straight games? I mean, you look at his game log, 53, 55, 52, 52, 50, 62 last game. I know Jaylen Brown's back, and that might hurt Tatum a little bit, but he should not be 9K. I think Tatum is definitely underpriced. He's for sure my favorite play from the Celtics, and probably my favorite play from this game in general. Probably more of a tournament option, but I definitely have some interest in Jason Tatum, even in a tougher spot against a good Warriors defense. Jaylen Brown, not going to go there. He did actually look pretty decent last game, and he did play 30 minutes, but 8,500, you're definitely overpaying for Jaylen Brown right now. Horford, Schroeder, Smart, I don't really like these guys on this slate. I think it's just Tatum for me, and that's it from from Boston. Next game, though, Denver and Atlanta. So on Denver, Nikola Jokic, 12K. I think Jokic, once again, one of the best pay-up options on the slate. Basically, every single slate. I think at this point, every single slate Jokic is on, he is going to be the best pay-up option. Until they price him up to 13K, I think you can basically play Jokic every single night. I mean, you look at his game log, at least 62 DraftKings points in 6 straight games, or 61 DK points in 6 straight games. He's playing massive minutes. I mean, he's playing 36, 38 minutes in close games as of late. The matchup against Atlanta here, I wouldn't be too worried about for Jokic. I mean, last time these teams played, Jokic went for 66 DK points. This entire offense, this entire Nuggets offense just runs through Jokic. He touches the ball so much, he just stuffs the stat sheet. He's going to get a ton of rebounds. He's going to get a ton of assists. He's going to put up a ton of points. I mean, he's basically he has a 50-point floor, it feels like. Even when Jokic does terrible, he's still going to give you 50 DK points. I mean, he's been the number one fantasy guy this year. probably going to be, finish the year with the most fantasy points, like better than Giannis, better than KD, better than all those guys. Like Jokic is just on another level this year. He's the favorite to win the MVP. He's the best play on Denver for sure, and he's by far one of the best pay-up options today. Outside of Jokic, I'm not too excited about any other Nuggets, though, where all these guys are priced at, especially with, how many other shorthanded teams there are today. I don't think I'm going to be rostering really many other Nuggets besides Jokic. So we can move on to the Atlanta side. Atlanta, they're a team that's not that appealing today because they're pretty much fully healthy. They're still missing Bogdan and DeAndre Hunter, but like all the guys that benefit with those guys out have been priced up to reflect that. I will say that Cam Reddish is still a little bit cheap at $3,500, but I'm not even that excited to roster him with how much other value there is today. But like Trae Young at 10-2, more of a GPP play on this slate. Trae's been great as of late. He's been showing a pretty high ceiling. I don't love the matchup against Denver, but we know Trae can go off any night. If you wanted to do if you wanted to build like a Trae Jokic like little mini correlated stack, I think that's definitely fine, because I think if this game does wind up being like high scoring and it's a competitive game, you probably do get a big game from Trae and a big game from Jokic. So I'm fine playing Trae. I don't think I'd be playing any other Hawks though today. Like Clint Capella, I want to say that in the past, Clint Capella has really struggled against Jokic. He didn't do that well against Jokic earlier this year. Jokic is a pretty stout defender, so don't love the spot for Clint Capella, but it is worth noting that his price did go down to $7,400, which I guess makes him look a little bit more appealing. It's probably it, though, from Atlanta. And then, Cam Reddish, he'll probably play more with Bogdan and Hunter still out. He got 26 minutes last game, 28 minutes the game before that. He probably plays 26 minutes off the bench, but on this slate, 26 minutes from Cam Reddish is probably not going to be good enough when you have just so many of these shorthanded teams and so much other value today. So I still wouldn't be that excited to roster Cam Reddish. So we can move on to the next game, Milwaukee and New Orleans. So Milwaukee, they are the first team that we're going to spend a lot of time on. So Milwaukee is really shorthanded today. No Giannis, no Bobby Portis, no Brook Lopez, no Dante DiVincenzo, and then Thanasis is doubtful too. So they're really shorthanded at the front court with their, with the bigs. So no Giannis and no Portis, no Lopez, no Thanasis. Basically, the only other bigs, like power forwards and centers that they have on their roster are DeMarcus Cousins, Mamu Kalashvili, and I think that's it. They don't have any other bigs. I don't think any of these other guys are even on the active roster. Semi Ojeley's still out, so we're going to get some value here for sure. Now, starting off at the top with, the top guys, Drew, 7,900. We talked about Drew as being a really good play last slate with Giannis out, with Middleton. Middleton got ruled out later in the day. Now we have basically the same situation. Giannis is out. Middleton's expected to play, but Bobby Portis is out. So, basically we're getting kind of the same scenario. Milwaukee's still going to be without two of their top guys. I think Drew looks great here. He's going to play 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's going to get a ton of usage without Giannis and without Portis. His price only went up $400 for some reason. I love Drew Holiday once again. I think he's one of the best plays on the slate. He's too cheap. You just play him at $34 on Yahoo. He's still too cheap over there. And then Chris Middleton. So Chris Middleton I did like last slate, but obviously he didn't wind up playing. Well, he's probable for today. So Chris Middleton is expected to play today. And without Giannis and without Bobby Portis, I think we can expect a lot of opportunity and a lot of usage for Chris Middleton. And he's $6,700 for some reason. I don't know what DraftKings is doing today with the pricing. Both these guys should be, Drew Holiday should be $9K and Chris Middleton should be $8,500. You're just getting these guys at such massive discounts. It's hard not to consider them two of the best plays on the slate. On Yahoo, Middleton, $28. I'm going to roster him over there too. So love both Drew and Middleton once again. Pat Connaughton, I think, is viable, but he's more of a GPP play at $5,200. I think he does offer somewhat of a ceiling, but I do question how much upside he actually has, especially playing alongside Drew and Middleton. But he's at least playable. Grayson Allen, I think, is a playable value. Jordan Nwora did start last game. If he winds up starting again, definitely would have interest in him as a value play. Now, I think it's pretty likely he goes back to the bench with Middleton back. Most likely scenario is that you will see Drew, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Middleton, and then either one of Cousins or Mamu Kalashvili start. So I'm guessing Jordan Nwora goes back to the bench, but if he does start again at $3,300, he'd be a really strong value play. And then the bigs, this is where we get a lot of value. So with Thanasis out, with Bobby Portis out, with Brook Lopez out, with Giannis out, I'm guessing they're going to split the center minutes between Cousins and Mamu Kalashvili. I'm expecting one of Cousins or Mamu Kalashvili to start. I think in this matchup against Jonas Valanciunas, it probably makes more sense to start DeMarcus Cousins. And at $3,100, DeMarcus Cousins is going to easily be the best value play on the slate if he winds up starting. He's too cheap on Yahoo too. He has minimum salary over there. I mean, absolutely love DeMarcus Cousins today. Like we've seen in the past, when DeMarcus Cousins gets minutes, he can still be really, really productive. He hasn't played too much this year with Milwaukee, but in the minutes he's gotten off the bench, he's been really productive. He's been a fantasy point per minute player. We know Boogie, when he's on the floor, he's going to stuff the stat sheet. He's going to get points. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get assists. He'll block shots. I mean, he's a productive player, and he's 3,100. He probably will start. Even if he doesn't start, I think he still plays at least like 20 to 22 minutes. If he starts, I think he plays like probably 26, 28 minutes, and then you'll see Mamu Kalashvili, get the backup center minutes. Really, really like Boogie for value. He's one of the best value plays on the slate. And if Mamu Kalashvili starts, I think at 3K, we can definitely look to him as a strong value play now. If he doesn't start, I think he's still viable, but I would prefer Boogie straight up. But I think Mamu Kalashvili will play at least like 20 minutes, maybe more. Maybe they play him and Cousins alongside each other a little bit. I don't know if they would do that in this type of matchup and given how thin they are. But yeah, I think Mamu Kalashvili would be a good value too at 3K. So there's definitely some good value from Milwaukee, specifically in the front court with Boogie, with Mamu Kalashvili. Probably it, though. Like, I don't think they have anyone else, like any other bigs on the roster. That's why I think the most likely scenario is that you do see them play probably one of Cousins or Mamu Kalashvili. One of those guys is going to be on the floor at all times. Most likely scenario is you just see the center minutes split between the two. My best guess is that Cousins starts, plays like 26 minutes, and that Mamu Kalashvili backs him up and plays the other 22 minutes. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see for a starting lineup there. Regardless, there's going to be a lot of great plays from Milwaukee today. A lot of guys are going to project really well on this team with how shorthanded they are. Now on the Pelicans side, there's not nearly as much to like here because for the most part, they're just missing Zion. This team is pretty much fully healthy outside of Zion still out. Brandon Ingram at 8,700, I think, is more of just like a GPP dart throw on this slate. Doesn't really project as a top option. I think J-Val, especially with Giannis and Portis and Thanasis out, Brook Lopez out too, this definitely is a better matchup than you would expect. J-Val is going to be guarded by either Boogie or Mamu Kalashvili, and those are two matchups that J-Val can easily win in. I'm probably going to have at least $2 or $3 in almost every lineup I make today. So it makes some sense to definitely run it back with a Pelican, and I think by far J-Val is my favorite play from the Pelicans if I had to play anyone on this team. His price tag at 8,200 is pretty appealing as well. So I definitely like J-Val. I think the rest of the Pelicans are not that interesting. It's really J-Val the most that stands out from this team. Now on the San Antonio side, looking at San Antonio and Utah, this is another pretty unappealing game. Both these teams are pretty much fully healthy. On San Antonio, it's a tough matchup here against the Jazz. I think you're just kind of looking at tournament plays here with a guy like Dejounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl. We know Dejounte Murray has upside. We know he can put up a big game any night. But on the road in Utah, it's just not a great spot for Dejounte Murray. Same with Jakob Poeltl. I think Jakob Poeltl will have to play a lot of minutes. I think they're going to want him out there to guard Rudy Gobert. As long as he stays out of foul trouble and the game is close, I think we do get at least like 32, 34 minutes from Jakob Poeltl. Still, though, on this slate, I don't think he's going to project out as a great option. So really not too much I like from San Antonio. I think Dejounte Murray as a tournament play is about all that I like here. And then on the Utah side, this team is fully healthy. The matchup against San Antonio is pretty good. The Spurs actually are playing at a really fast pace this year. They are 7th in pace. But none of these guys look great at their salaries. I think Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are probably the two guys I would be looking to roster on Utah. I don't really like Conley or Bojan or Clarkson or O'Neal. It's really just Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and even them, I'm not that excited to roster, especially with how many shorthanded teams there are. We're about to get to some teams that are really shorthanded, so yeah, I don't like much on Utah. Don't like much from this game in general. But now these 3 late night games, so this is where we're going to get a lot of value. Starting off with Memphis and Sacramento. So Memphis, they're not a team that really is missing many guys. I mean, still no Ja, no Brandon Clark, no Zaire Williams, but for the most part, the pricing on Memphis is pretty accurate today. I still think, though, there are some guys we can consider in GPPs because the matchup against Sacramento is really good. Sacramento has been playing at the 6th fastest pace in the league this year. And in terms of defensive rating, they're actually, they're bottom 3 in defensive rating. So it's a really good spot for like Triple J and Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks and Tyus Jones. I don't think any of these guys look great at their price tags. I think Triple J is for sure my favorite play from Memphis, just because we know that Triple J has like 40, 45 point upside. And as long as he does stay out of foul trouble, which is always a big if for him, but if he does stay out of foul trouble, he will play 33, 34 minutes. He only played 22 minutes last time they played Sacramento. He had 5 fouls in those 22 minutes, but he did put up 32 Draftkings points in 22 minutes. So he was really productive last time these teams played. I think the matchup sets up really well for Triple J. I think he should be really productive once again. I worry about foul trouble for him, but as a tournament play, I definitely like Triple J, and he's by far my favorite play from Memphis. Now, on the Sacramento side, this is another team very similar to Milwaukee that's just so shorthanded today. So, De'Aaron Fox was placed in COVID protocols. He is doubtful for today, not expected to play. Richaun Holmes has been dealing with an eye injury. He is doubtful to play, so not expected to be out there. Tyrese Halliburton is questionable. I think Tyrese Halliburton is probably going to play, especially because they don't have a ton of other bodies. But we'll have to keep an eye on Halliburton's status. Marvin Bagley's out. Terrence Davis is out. Alex Len was placed in health and safety protocols, so he is doubtful, not expected to play. And then Chimezie Metu was out last game for a knee injury, and he is questionable. So Chimezie Metu may or may not play. There is just so much freaking value from the Sacramento team. So basically, assuming Halliburton plays and all these doubtful guys are out, Halliburton is the most expensive player on Sacramento, and he's $5,800. So you're just going to be loading up on Sacramento today. Most likely, their starting lineup will be Halliburton, Barnes, Hield, Davion Mitchell, and then probably Tristan Thompson. So I'm guessing that's what the starting lineup will be. We're going to have to wait and see here. It is one of the late night games, so I don't think we're going to get this starting lineup till way after lock. But there's just so many guys you can play from Sacramento. Basically their entire starting lineup is going to be in play. I think Halliburton at 5,800 with De'Aaron Fox out looks great. I mean, Halliburton's been really good this year, and now you take De'Aaron Fox off the floor, who is the primary ball handler and one of the highest usage players on this team. Halliburton at 5,800, assuming he plays, is a really good play. Harrison Barnes at 5,700 should see more shots coming his way with De'Aaron Fox out, and he's underpriced at 5,700. He finally had a good game last game after he was really struggling for a while there. He played 32 minutes. We probably get 35, 36 minutes from Harrison Barnes today. Really, really like him at 5,700. Buddy Hield has not been great lately, but at 5,100, he's way too cheap, especially with De'Aaron Fox out, with all these other guys out. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for Buddy Hield. He probably starts. He probably plays over 30 minutes. He looks like one of the better, mid-range options on this slate. With Alex Len doubtful, with Richaun Holmes doubtful, with Marvin Bagley out, I'm assuming they start Tristan Thompson at center. Tristan Thompson only 3,800. Most likely scenario is that you will see Tristan Thompson and Damian Jones split the center minutes. My best guess is that Thompson plays 26, 28 minutes, and Damian Jones plays around 20 minutes. So if we get 28 minutes from Tristan Thompson at 3,800, he's going to project out as a really, really strong value play. Now, I think if DeMarcus Cousins starts, I'd rather play DeMarcus Cousins because I think he has more upside. But Tristan Thompson's a really good value play, especially if Metu sits as well. And then Davion Mitchell is probably one of the best cheap plays on the slate, along with Boogie. He's only 3,600. He should be forced to play a ton tonight without De'Aaron Fox, without Terrence Davis, with Tyrese Halliburton potentially questionable and maybe out as well. Really, really like Davion Mitchell here. He's going to project out as a top value today. It's hard to ignore him. He's minimum salary on Yahoo. This is one of those scenarios where you just play the guy. I mean, he's going to be massive chalk, but it's really hard to get away from him. He's going to project for probably over 30 Draftkings points, and he's 3,600. I'd assume Davion Mitchell will start today. I'd assume he's going to play massive minutes. It's a pretty decent matchup against Memphis. Memphis's defense has been better lately, but still, this should be a pretty good game environment. It should be a pretty fast-paced game. Love Davion Mitchell. Love all these Kings. I mean, my God, you can just play. There's so many guys on this team. I will say that I'd probably limit to 3 or 4 Kings. I don't think I'd be playing 5 Kings in my lineup, but man, Halliburton if he plays, Barnes, Hield, Thompson, Mitchell. Even if you want to take a shot on Damian Jones off the bench or maybe Mo Harkless off the bench, they're just so freaking thin. I don't even know how many active players they have. They might only have 8 active players. They have Halliburton if he plays, Halliburton, Barnes, Hield, Thompson, Metu, Jones, Mitchell, Harkless, and I don't think anyone at Ramsey, I guess, is on the roster. So yeah, if Halliburton plays, Woodard, I don't know if he's on the roster. Okay, so he was recalled from the G League. See, I don't know how many active players they even have. They probably are only going to have 8 or 9 bodies. Yeah, you're just going to have to load up on Sacramento today. They're by far one of the most shorthanded teams on the slate, and a team you're going to look to a lot for value. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game and talk about the Lakers. Lakers are another team that is very shorthanded right now with COVID protocols and missing Russell Westbrook, who's out, Taylor Horton-Tucker, who's out, Dwight Howard out, Avery Bradley out, Kendrick Nunn still out. For the most part, we kind of know where the production and the usage is going to go on this Lakers offense, especially with Russell Westbrook out. We should just see a ton of LeBron James, a ton of Anthony Davis, and the rest of these guys. I mean, obviously Carmelo will create his own shot. Malik Monk will create his own shot, but a lot of these other Lakers are really low usage players, guys that are just going to stand in the corner. Wayne Ellington, Austin Reeves, Kent Bazemore, these aren't guys that you really worry about taking usage away from LeBron or AD. So man, it's just going to be so much opportunity for LeBron and AD. LeBron at 10-4 with Westbrook out in a good matchup against Minnesota. Love LeBron today. I think he's one of the best pay-up options right up there with Jokic. I think he looks great on DraftKings. He's too cheap on Yahoo. His price tag barely went up over there, $47 at power forward. Really, really like LeBron today. One of my favorite pay-up options for sure. Obviously, without Westbrook, we can expect LeBron to be the primary point guard. We can expect LeBron to play a ton of minutes, even though LeBron's been, even though LeBron's at the later stages of his career and he's, like 36 or 37 years old right now. I mean, the dude still goes out there and crushes for fantasy. You look at the upside he's shown, 63 DK points, 67 DK points. I think LeBron's a great play today. I think Anthony Davis looks pretty good as well. I think he should get more usage without Russell Westbrook. I think you're just going to see a lot of Anthony Davis taking shots. I think you're going to see a lot of LeBron James taking shots. And the rest of these guys are just going to stand out there and stand in the corner and hope the ball gets passed to them. Like, you're just going to see so much opportunity for Westbrook, or not Westbrook, but for LeBron and AD, that both of them are great pay-up options. And then I think we can go to some of these guys now. I'm not too excited about many of these other Lakers, but I mean, Malik Monk should get a lot of minutes, whether he starts or comes off the bench. Austin Reeves, AR-15, he should get a lot of minutes, whether he starts or comes off the bench. He's coming off a great game last game against Dallas, where he hit the game-winning shot. He had 30 DK points, played 32 minutes. Austin Reeves is one of these guys that he's not really going to create his own shot. He's not going to have the ball in his hands much. He's just going to kind of run around and then, try and get open, see if he can get, the ball passed to him. He's not a guy you're too excited to roster. I do question really what his ceiling is, but I think if he can shoot the ball well, like when he gets the ball passed to him, he's probably going to have some open looks. So it's just a matter of if he can make his shots or not. But at 3,300, he is probably going to play a lot of minutes with how thin they are. So I think Austin Reeves is in play for value. I think Malik Monk's in play for value. I think Carmelo will get some opportunity as well. He should, be chucking off the bench. He's probably going to get a lot of usage with the second unit. I think Carmelo is for sure in play at 4K. And then with Westbrook out, we probably see Rajon Rondo get back in the rotation. Rajon Rondo has really not played much. He hasn't played in like 2 weeks. He's basically been out of the rotation. I would think that they're going to have Rondo play today. Like, I would think Rondo is probably going to be the backup point guard whenever LeBron's not on the floor. Maybe they just play Malik Monk as the backup point guard. I don't know, but I would think Rondo gets minutes. Now, obviously, it's super risky, but if Rondo does get into the rotation, at 3K, minimum salary, we know Rondo can be productive when he gets minutes, so he is definitely viable as a dart throw. He's risky because there's not a guarantee that he actually plays, but I would think without Westbrook and without THT, they don't really have any other secondary ball handlers, so you're probably going to see Rondo be the backup point guard, which obviously will make him playable at 3K. But that's it for the Lakers. Super shorthanded team here. I think LeBron and AD are the great plays, the guys we want to really be focusing on, but I think taking shots on Malik Monk, Carmelo, Austin Reeves, Rondo, I think you can definitely do that in tournaments. Now, on the Minnesota side, Minnesota is pretty much fully healthy, so it's not too much to really like here. I think you're looking at tournament plays, guys like Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, fine tournament options. I would say that none of them at their price points look like great plays. I think Anthony Edwards at 8K is probably my favorite of all the Minnesota guys. I thought he did really well against the Lakers earlier this year. Maybe I was wrong. He actually really struggled against the Lakers earlier this year. I wouldn't look too much into that, though. I think this is a good matchup. The Lakers have been playing at the fastest pace in the league as of late. Their defense has definitely been improving, but still they do play at a fast pace. Both these teams are top 10 in pace as of late, or just this season, so we should see a pretty fast-paced, high-scoring game here. I think Ant offers tournament upside. I think D'Angelo Russell as well. Cat is fine in tournaments. Probably it, though, from Minnesota. Don't think I'd be playing anyone else outside of the big three. And then last game of the night, Charlotte and Portland. So Charlotte, even in a pretty good matchup here against Portland, it's really hard to get excited about these Charlotte guys because they are getting, pretty much fully healthy now. LaMelo is questionable. He probably will play today. Don't know yet, but LaMelo is questionable. If he winds up playing, it's going to be really tough to get to Miles Bridges or Kelly Oubre or Gordon Hayward or Terry Rozier, given all these guys were priced up for when LaMelo was out. And obviously, if LaMelo comes back, he's just going to, that's going to take away from all those guys. I really don't like much from Charlotte, I'll be honest with you. Mason Plumlee at 4,100 can maybe be viable. His first game back from COVID protocols, he did play 23 minutes last game. I would think in this matchup against Nurkic, they're probably going to want Plumlee out there guarding Nurkic. Plumlee has been pretty productive when he does get minutes. 4,100, he's a viable cheap play. He probably will get he probably won't get much ownership today. So someone you could throw in your tournament player pool. But yeah, man, I don't really like much from Charlotte, given all these guys were priced up for when LaMelo was out, and LaMelo could be back today. Now, if LaMelo remains out, then I think we could look to like Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. But even then, they still would just kind of be like tournament plays. None of them would stand out as priority options. Now in Portland, it's a great matchup for Portland. Charlotte, they've been one of the best matchups you can get this year. They're playing at a really fast pace. They've been one of the worst defensive teams. I think it's a great spot for Damian Lillard. 9,300, just way too cheap for Damian Lillard. With CJ McCollum still out, we know the usage and the opportunity is going to be there for Damian Lillard. We know he's going to take a ton of shots. He's shot the ball terribly the last few games, 35% from the field against Phoenix, 28% from the field against Memphis. I mean, he still put up 52 DK points against Phoenix. He really hasn't been shooting the ball that well, and he's still been doing decent. Imagine when he finally starts making some shots. Like, you're going to get probably 55, 60 DK points from Damian Lillard at 9,300. I would probably say he's my third favorite pay-up option on this slate behind LeBron and behind Jokic. I really like Dame in this spot. I think it's a great matchup. I think it's a great game environment. It's a fast-paced game. And obviously, without CJ McCollum, the usage and opportunity is going to be there for Dame. So love him at 9,300. I think Nurkic at 7,300 makes a lot of sense in tournaments. We've seen Nurkic's minutes actually really increase lately. 39 minutes against Phoenix in overtime, played 34 minutes in regulation, 31 minutes last game against Memphis. Like, he's played 30-plus minutes in back-to-back games. If they're going to keep giving Nurkic these big minutes, I mean, yeah, this is when we can finally play Nurkic now if he's going to keep getting these minutes. Now, his minutes have been inconsistent this year, but we know when Nurkic is out there, he's going to be really productive. The matchup against Charlotte is fantastic. Nurkic went for 37 DK points in only 25 minutes against them earlier this year. If he plays 30, 32 minutes today, I would not be surprised to see Nurkic go for 45, 50. Like, he's got that kind of upside in a really good matchup like this. So I think Nurkic is a really good tournament play. I mean, Norman Powell, his price tag feels about right, but man, he's just been playing so many freaking minutes. It's enough, again, it's a good matchup. Like, really, all these Portland guys are in play for me. Now, I think Nurkic and Dame are my two favorites, but Norman Powell's in play. Anthony Simons, I'm not as high on now that Dame is back, but I think like Larry Nance, he's been starting, been playing pretty good minutes, played 31 minutes last game, was not very productive, but at 4,700, if we're going to get 30 minutes from Larry Nance, I mean, at 4,700, he'd still be on my radar as a value. It's probably it, though, from Portland. And yeah, I think that's it, guys, for this Friday night slate. 8 games, a lot of injury news to pay attention to, or with COVID at least. All these COVID protocols right now with the NBA, all these guys are getting ruled out randomly, so you're going to have to pay attention to injury news. I tried to do my best to kind of give you guys my first looks at the slate, but we'll have to be paying attention to the injury report, seeing if anyone else gets ruled out for COVID protocols. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll be good to go for this slate. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button as well. And again, if you enjoy these these YouTube videos, if you enjoy this content I post on YouTube, you can check out more stuff I do offer on Patreon. That's linked down below in the description. All of my updated content, after we get injury news, after we get starting lineups, I do post a lot more updated content on Patreon, which you can check out. I also give out some of my favorite plays each day on PrizePicks. You can check that out, linked down below in the description as well. That's also available for Patreon members. So if you're a Patreon member, you will get access to my favorite plays on PrizePicks each day for NBA. I'll post stuff for NFL as well, for like the the primetime games, for the main slate on Sunday. I'll post NFL picks I like for PrizePicks. A lot of stuff available for Patreon members. So if you're interested, check out Patreon, link down below in the description. Sign up for PrizePicks too if you have not yet. They're the sponsor of this video. Again, if you guys want to sign up for PrizePicks, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit. PrizePicks will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. But good luck tonight, guys. Big Friday night slate. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.